Hey, so what video game do you want to play? Well, what do you got? Let's see, we could play Mario Party? No, that game's all luck. Okay, how about Overwatch? And chance on getting a good team? No thanks. Diablo? And deal with the random loot generator? No. Dude, literally everything has a bit of luck in it. Not good games. Good games take such a great deal of skill and precision, and all with a good helping dose of... Alright, who goes first? Let's just flip a coin and see who goes first. Luck stats. As far as I know, the most underchosen and underappreciated stat in all of video games. Because, depending on the game, you don't really want to lose hours of progress, all of your souls, or just any idea of a consistent damage on the idea of just chancing your way through the game. It's not consistent, it's never the ideal strategy, but somehow this stat keeps finding its way into all our video games. So why? Why do game developers keep putting this stat into their games? Well, speaking as the few who actually make it a point to level up luck, and yes, you heard that right, in Fire Emblem when they asked me to choose which stat I wanted to focus on, you know I'm betting on the crit. Any Fallout game, I'm walking out of that vault with at least 9 points into my special luck. In Dark Souls 3, Henri's sword, I didn't use it because I was too afraid it'd be bad. Nonetheless, I think I have a pretty good idea as to why game developers and people, like me, waste all their points into luck. And I think that the usage of luck allows for unscripted stories to happen more frequently in video games. What's an unscripted story? Well, I think everyone's probably got one. Basically, it's a story that's unique to the player and doesn't involve any cutscenes or forced narrative elements. Open world games are normally full of these types of stories because most of the time is just spent navigating the engine of the world. For example, when I was a kid, I played a lot of Animal Crossing. And one of my favorite villagers was Anacotti, a green mouse girl. It could just be because I like the color green, or she was the first villager I met, or I thought her name sounded like Manicotti, but I remember each day I played, I'd go in and check on her and see how her day was going. Help her with her errands, give her, some fruit that she needed. Did I have a crush on a Animal Crossing character? Anyway, I remember talking to her like normal, and she told me she thought about moving away. And I got worried. My avatar's best friend was leaving. So I hung out with her more and more often. But one day, I had a letter in the mail saying she had left for another town. And I remember writing her a letter back, telling her that she was my best friend and that I'd hope to see her again. And you see, none of that was scripted. No variables in the game make you hang out with the villagers. Anacotti isn't even always meant to be in your village. It was just a chance that she was the first villager I met. It was just chance that she was put into my save file, and it was kind of just chance all these things aligned with one another. I'm sure other people have similar stories with other villagers in the game, but when I describe my experience, it's different and unique, and it warms me up to this game as a whole, even if technically none of that was really planned. But I think that's my whole point. These unique stories to players can't happen without some kind of random variation. And I think scripted stories are great. The Last of Us is one of my favorite games, and that's a completely scripted story. But I think there's something charming about carving your own experience with the game as something else completely unique. Specifically about luck, I was playing Fire Emblem Fates, and during the final boss, my entire team was out of turns. But there was just enough space for my wife, Hana, and myself to reach the final boss. So I charge out ahead and try to finish the game. I go to attack him, and he had something like 60 HP left, and I had 32 damage per hit, which meant I should have killed him because I got 2 hits. But I missed my second hit, and he hit me. So my character was down to something like 2 HP, and is now surrounded by the boss and a bunch of other units all around him. I knew if I died here, I would have to start the whole fight over again, and I had already done that a bunch of times, and I had been playing for hours. So I was bummed, but then I realized I had 1 unit left. My daughter character, Kana. I checked the matchup. She would only do about 18 damage, but she had a 5% chance to crit. So with no other option, I sent my daughter forward by herself, and what do you know? She crit the boss, dealing 36 points of damage, and saved everyone. Which is why, to this day, Kana is so cool to me. I'm sure other people, they're just a child character, but now, she'll forever be the daughter who saved me and sealed the ultimate evil. Was there any real strategy to that? No, not at all. It was a complete bet. But I couldn't have really asked for a better conclusion, because none of that had to transpire that way. Like, I'm sure other people beat that final boss with no problem because they had a more optimal build or they had stacked their team a bit better. But do any of them have the same story that I do? No, because in my headcanon, it's almost as if my daughter had inherited the main character's luck that I had put into him. And those stories are what I live for in video games, and I feel like these stories all have an air of unpredictability, which is scary and weird, but I think having luck in video games is what allows these types of moments to happen. Having something that can't be controlled and you're at the complete mercy to, but you just kind of have to work around it. And yeah, I admit that there are bad ways to implement luck, but I think that unpredictability is what keeps you engaged, because you don't really know what's going to happen next, and that's a very, intense form of engagement. It's also why I like D&D, because the whole game revolves around the D20, which is, technically a bit of luck. It means you can have triple advantage on the best plan in the world, but still roll 4 1s. Is it likely? No. Is it possible? Yeah, technically. It also means the most unthinkable and stupidest things can happen because you rolled a 20. And some of my favorite stories and plot lines come from my friends getting these rolls, and you just have to keep going with what you got, and it's all because there exists this system with, just that big air of ambiguity and unpredictability. And the stories that arrive from such a system are unique to the user, which makes everyone's experience with the game a bit different. It really puts the interactive in the medium of video games. So, yeah, I do think luck and random and chance all take a big part in creating our experience with video games. But for now, that's all I got. Let me know which stat you normally level up in the comment section below, and thanks for sharing with your friends, and I'll see you all next time.